Somewhere under this canopy in northwest Pennsylvania, there used to be entire towns. Thousands of people, hotels, saloons, churches, gone within a decade. This is where we're riding. Welcome to the Wildcatters Rally, an Appalachian ADV event started this year, 2026, to replace the beloved but venue-constrained A&F Jam. It's now held on an old 200-plus acre Girl Scout camp in Venango County, Pennsylvania. It's family-friendly and built for every skill level, from little bikes for the kids up through dual sports and full adventure routes for the grown-ups. 5 loops fan out from base camp, covering the Allegheny National Forest, Oil Creek State Park, and a handful of small towns most riders have never heard of. Group camping, RV sites, food, door prizes, attached trails, evening seminars, the full rally rundown. But the reason I wanted to make this video isn't the camping or the trails, it's what's buried in these hills. This part of Pennsylvania isn't just good riding, it's the birthplace of the American oil industry, and it left both prosperity and ghost towns behind that you can still ride through today. In 1859, a well driller named Edwin sank the first commercial oil well in the United States, right here in Titusville. It worked, and the moment word got out, prospectors flooded into these hills by the thousands. Those prospectors were called wildcatters because the safe money said oil pooled in the valleys, close to the water table. Wildcatters went up into the hills and ridgelines instead, betting on ground nobody else would touch. High risk, and when it paid off big and paid off fast. Towns sprung up around every strike. Main streets, hotels, churches, thousands of people. And when the wells ran dry, those towns emptied out just as fast. Some were gone in just a few years. What's left now is scattered throughout the forest. Foundations, old iron furnace ruins, collapsed rail tunnels, and the occasional relic a wildcatter left behind a century and a half ago. That's the ride Mike and Tambra from Cross Adventuring built for this event. 70-mile route stitched together specifically to pass the old boomtown ghost towns, the iron furnace ruins, and the abandoned rail tunnels hiding in these hills. It's not a history lecture, it's still a real adventure ride. Gravel, dirt, a few technical sections, but every few miles you roll past or stop to visit something that used to be a town, a drill, a pump wheel, a dynamite house. A special stop is Pithole and their excellent museum. Pithole is by far the most notorious of the early boomtowns. Recall that Drake struck oil in the summer of 1859? Well, 6 years later, the United States Petroleum Company struck oil 4 miles outside of Oil Creek Valley. Production quickly climbed from around 650 barrels a day at that first well to over 6,000 barrels a day across the field, making up 2/3 of all the oil coming out of Pennsylvania at the time. The town of Pithole sprang up 2 banks, 2 telegraph offices, a newspaper, waterworks, 3 churches, a theater, 50 hotels, and a post office serving 15,000 people. But with so many wells pumping from the same reservoir, the oil began to dry up. In short time, derricks and buildings were moved elsewhere, and fires burned down entire blocks. Within 2 years, Pithole's population dropped to just a few hundred. Today, all that's left are the mowed contours of old streets and basement pits. It started in 1860, just a year after Drake's well and barely a mile from it. This is the Titusville Manufacturing Company, the first foundry and machine shop in the country, built exclusively to serve the oil industry. Local businessmen bought it in 1895, renamed it the Titusville Iron Works, and grew it into one of the region's major manufacturers, turning out the drilling rigs, steam engines, boilers, pumping equipment, tanks, and smokestacks that kept the oil fields running. It kept reinventing itself long after Titusville's oil days peaked, building ship engine parts in World War I, then shifting to defense equipment in World War II, when the plant employed 3,000 people. It finally closed in 1963. Today, it's been reborn as a museum, tap house, restaurant, and music venue, and it's exactly where the ghost town ride stops for lunch. It's a genuine hodgepodge in here. Architecture, old machinery, furniture, even a few vintage vehicles, all crammed together under one roof. That giant lathe, that's a deep hole boring machine built to drill long, straight holes clean through solid steel shafts. It's the exact kind of tooling the ironworks ran during World War II to manufacture gun barrels and tubes, anti-tank gun barrels that saw action with the British 8th Armory at El Alamein, high-speed machine cannon barrels for the B-25 and B-51 aircraft, even 8-inch howitzer shells used at the Battle of the Bulge. And if the Titusville Iron Works was manufacturing muscle, the telegraph was the area's nervous system. Within months of Drake's find, western Pennsylvania was chaos. Derricks, fortunes, fires, and mud. There was no internet, no cell phones, not even telephone landlines. It was the clacking telegraph that made it all function. And for a moment, it was democratic. Before the telegraph, wildcatters operated in an information vacuum. Slow physical mail and couriers to track the wildly fluctuating price of crude. Once telegraph lines were wired into the Titusville Oil Exchange, a wildcatter could check oil prices in Oil City and Pittsburgh without riding a horse to find out. Information moved fast and relatively free. The little guy had a fighting chance. Then Rockefeller noticed. Standard Oil's 1872 South Improvement Company scheme, one of the most brazen monopoly plays in American history, laid bare by investigative reporter Ida Tarbell, was coordinated by telegraph by keeping secret from the very producers it would destroy. Pricing information was selectively leaked, competitor shipments were monitored, the same wire that liberated the wildcatters became the instrument of his own capture. Remember that Pinkerton getup from the beginning of this video? Well, that's not just an AI simulated costume. A single telegraph message could crash or spike the market, so wildcatters went to extremes to conceal their operations. That's what birthed the Oil Scout, industrial detectives hired by speculators to spy on drilling sites. The Pinkerton National Detective Agency was actively employed in the oil regions by railroad and Standard Oil aligned interests to surveil label organizers and enforce consolidation. Telegraph intercepts were part of their intelligence operation, and their tactics in the oil region sometimes turned violent. This key and sounder are authentic from the 1890s. What I'm holding when I tap this is a binary device, a dot or dash, on or off, 1 or 0. It's the oldest digital communication tool ever built, and it's exactly what a telegraph operator would have heard all day at up to 30 words per minute. The Pithole Museum has a wonderful two-way demonstrator, and I'll bring my single set to the next rally so you can try it too. Now I'll admit, there's some irony in the fact that I bought this key and sounder on eBay using a JP Morgan Chase card. The same telegraph and rail money that built up that region also built the legal and physical scaffolding modern telecom still runs on. Jay Gould fought for control of Western Union in the 1880s, and decades later, AT&T, backed by JP Morgan's financing, bought up a controlling stake in Western Union itself, a consolidation that eventually got broken up into the Baby Bells in 1984. Pennsylvania's oil and rail history and the telegraph wire that strung along it are all part of the root system for the telecommunications fabric that we're still standing on. The magnates of the late 19th century didn't just build successful companies, they engineered the systems, legal precedents, and physical networks that the United States still runs on today. Fast forward to the 21st century. Today we live in a digital cloud. We stream videos, run complex artificial intelligence models, and buy and sell billions of dollars worth of goods instantly on platforms like eBay. It feels ethereal, wireless, and clean, but it isn't. The blindingly fast fiber optic cables that carry your internet data across the country are buried in the exact same dirt along the exact same rights of way cleared by the Gilded Age tycoons over a century ago. The server farms themselves pull megawatts of energy from electrical grid built on George Westinghouse's Nikola Tesla-based alternating current blueprints. And the corporate consolidated legal models used by big tech to manage their vast holding companies? They were invented by Rockefeller's lawyers to control Pennsylvania oil. Every byte of data we send, every transaction we make, and every piece of the modern world we take for granted still travels along the structural skeleton laid down by a handful of ruthless innovators, frantic dreamers, and a lone stubborn man who struck oil in a Pennsylvania creek bed just 69 feet deep. I want to thank Mike and Tambra from Cross Adventuring, Bob of the Titusville Iron Works, and particularly Kane of Appalachian ADV for weaving this fascinating local history into the foundations of the Wildcatters Rally. The region's history isn't just important to the United States' energy economy, it shaped the whole world. Getting to ride through it and connect with that history in person is a unique experience, and it's not one you want to miss. Add to that all the fun to be had on the event grounds, and I'm already looking forward to next year's event. I hope you are too. Go connect with Appalachian ADV and cross adventuring for professional training, to take chances, build friendships, and build a deeper appreciation for the landscapes around us.